What's up, people? I'm back. Alright, so it seems like we had a few questions on some of the things on the assignment from yesterday, because I kept getting the same questions, so I figured I'd go over some of this stuff. So today we're going to take a look at a couple of these that I got circled on here and talk a little bit about them, okay? One of my all-time favorites right here in the background, so we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Okay, so hopefully from yesterday, if you watched the video and took notes like you were supposed to, okay, you know if they have the same sign, such as a positive times a positive, it is going to give you a positive. Or if you have a negative times a negative, that is also going to give you a positive. Okay, so if they have the same sign, okay, you're going to get a positive answer. Now, what happens when you have different signs? Okay, so if you have a negative times a positive, or if you have a positive times a negative, what are you going to get? Yeah, a negative, right? So, just make sure when you're using the multiplying rules, if they've got the same sign, you're going to get a positive answer. When you multiply them together, your product's going to be positive. And then if they've got different signs when you multiply them together, your product will be negative. Alright, so we're going to look at a couple of these real quick, just to kind of help go over some of these. So number 34, it was about the floods and the Mississippi River running backwards, caused the Illinois River to flow backwards. So if it's going negative 1,500 feet per hour, and it flowed backwards at that rate for 24 hours, alright, so it would be that right there, okay? Negative 1,500 times 24. So you got to multiply those together, okay? So since we have a negative times a positive, that product I'm going to get is going to be a negative answer, okay? So hopefully you got that from yesterday, but I'm just going to, tell you that that is going to be a negative answer. Alright? You can multiply those together and figure it out. Alright, in number 35, it is asking about the temperature rate change in Browning, Montana. Okay, it says during a 10-hour period, it changed at a rate of negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit per hour, and the temperature started at 44 degrees Fahrenheit. What was the temperature at the end? Okay, so we're talking about a 10-hour period, negative 10 degrees.
Again, we've got different signs, okay? Positive times a negative, so that's over here. A positive times a negative is going to give you another negative answer. Okay, well I hope most of you know what 10 times 10 is. I mean, it's pretty easy. 10 times 10, that would be negative 100 degrees. So if it started at 44 degrees, and then it went down 100, okay, that problem is going to be 44 minus 100. Which we would do additive inverse to that, which would end up giving us 44 plus negative 100. And I'm not going to answer that question. You guys can figure that out on your own too, okay? 44 plus negative 100. You know it's going down in the negative territory, okay? It's going to be a negative degree, negative something. Because 44 minus 44 would be 0, so this is going way below 0, right? It's going to be really cold. You wouldn't want to run around in your short sleeves and your shorts out there on that day, okay? Pretty cold day. Alright, the next two I had some questions about were 41 and 47. Alright, 41 and 47. So if I look at 41, that was negative 12m times negative 9n. So both of those are negative. Negative 12m, and then in parentheses, negative 9n. Okay? Again, these have the same sign. Negative 12, negative 9. Okay? So if I need to go look back up at my chart, and they've got the same sign, and negative times a negative is a positive. So a negative times the negative is going to be a positive answer. 12 times 9. And 9 times 2 is 18. Carry my 1. So it looks like that is 108. Now what do you do with the variables in this problem? You just stick them on the end. Make sure you put them in alphabetical order. I said that on the other video, but I don't know how many people listen to me. So put them in alphabetical order. Maybe I ought to write it out. Alphabetical order. Okay? Put the variables in alphabetical order. You know, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, so forth. No, so put them in alphabetical order. All right, on 47, it was negative 6J, and then in parentheses was a 3, and then in parentheses was a 5K. All right, so if I was doing this problem, I'd just go ahead and multiply these two together. Okay, just a normal 3 times 5, positive times positive, would give you 15K. And then you're going to multiply that by negative 6J. Alright, and so that takes us over there. Different signs. A negative times a positive is a negative. And then 6 times 15. Let's see, 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. That'd be negative 90. And then you put the letters on in alphabetical order. Okay, put the variables in alphabetical, so that'd be alphabetical. H, I, J, K. So J, K. Just like that. Alright, let's move it on up here so you can see. So if you remember, if you got any questions, feel free to call me. Okay, don't forget my extension's 2443 if you need me. Okay. The last one's down there about the tides, about the beach questions. So over there, I'll scoot it up some. Right, you had to read over here on the side over here where it's got these little pictures of the boats and read about the tide. So it says it takes about 6 hours for the ocean to move from low to high tide. High tide can change the width of the beach at a rate of negative 17 feet an hour. So it takes about 6 hours and it changes at negative 17 feet an hour. So that would be 6 is a positive number, 6 hours. Alright, and it's changing at negative 17 feet per hour. Okay, so again, I've got a positive times a negative. So if I look up back up here at the top, a positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So negative 6 times 7, 42. Carry the 4, so that would be negative 102. Alright, if you wanted to put the feet on there, I think I typed it in there where you could type the feet in there if I remember right. So that would be negative 102 feet. That's how much the change is going to be in the width of the beachfront from low tide to high tide. Okay, high tide is when the waves are rolling in, right? Low tide is when the waves are rolling out. So that means on high tide you're losing 102 feet of beach. Okay, so if you're losing 102 feet of beach, it says what is the distance from the ocean to the homes at high tide. So you got to do 350, which is the width of the beach at low tide, minus the 102 feet that you lose when the water comes in for high tide, and 350 minus 102. Now if you don't know what that is, you know you might have to come over here and do 350 minus 102. I would do it this way. 350 minus 100 is 250. Take away 2 more is 248. So at high tide, okay, from the ocean to the houses is 248 feet. Okay, so there's some of the problems from the assignment yesterday that we had some difficulty with. Hopefully that helps you. All right, looking at today's assignment, okay, just want to remind you when to put, down here to 29, y'all see those, yeah. So when you put these letters, okay, put these numbers in for the letters down here, substitute in for these variables, okay, you don't put variables on the end of this. So I'm just going to try to do like number 33, for example, right here. I'm going to do one similar to that. Okay. All right, so 33 is 15 AB. And I'm just going to use a little bit different numbers. I'm going to say if A equals negative 3
and B equals -4. Okay? Can you see that all right? Hold that over a little bit. Okay. Oh, gosh, that smeared awful. Yuck. All right, so when I put these in there, the problem is going to be 15 times that times that. Okay, the variables are going to disappear because I'm putting -3 in there for A, and I'm putting -4 in there for B. There are no more variables, okay? So when you get this answer down here, it's not going to have AB on the end of it because the A is now -3 and the B is now -4. All right, I would do those together. A negative times a negative gives you a positive because they're the same sign. So that is no longer a negative number. That is positive 12, okay? And now I got to do 15 times 12. If you don't know what 15 times 12 is, this is called showing your work. Don't ask Siri. Don't ask your mama. Don't ask your brother or sister. Show your work right here. So 2 times 15 is 30. And then that would be 50. Altogether, that would be 180. So 15 times 12 is 180. Okay. So hopefully that helps. And if you got questions, you know you can email me or send me a, well, you can call me on the phone at my extension 2443. Any of that stuff's fine. Okay. So a lot of you have been sending in my answers to my riddles and my songs. So if you want extra credit today, okay, you must email me the name of the artist and the song that is playing in the background here. It is a very well-known classic. That lick right there ought to give it away. So, arrivederci and sayonara until next time. Be good. Ciao, baby.